lawsuit line, but I'm going to give you a real answer instead of just saying that the case is in active litigation and as a result, I can't talk about it. So we're going to have to kind of bear with it. There are a couple of things that I want everybody to know about Eagle. One, the horrible events at Eagle did not occur while I was mayor of the city of Atlanta. And that seems to get blurred, but I want to make it crystal clear. So that's item one. Regarding the evidentiary issues that you have going on right now, we're going to investigate every single allegation that's been made by plaintiff's counsel. And if we find that those allegations are true and people were erasing evidence improperly or maliciously, then we're going to deal with those individuals in a decisive way that will be public. So it will not be private. So you will see what we will do by virtue of whether anything happens to the officers who are involved if the allegations that are made are true. So that's how I'm going to deal with it. We're going to get to the bottom of it, find out if the assertions were true, and if they're true, we're going to deal with them in a very swift fashion. I am extremely frustrated to be doing everything that we're trying to do to make Atlanta a more comfortable and more embracing city for the LGBT community on one hand. So on the one hand, we're adding wonderful police officers who are helping to train us in how to police a city with a very large and important LGBT community. So we're doing that right now. So what you're going to see is us deal with these allegations around evidentiary issues in a very aggressive fashion. The two attorneys that were initially working on this case are no longer with the city of Atlanta. And then you're going to see me take decisive action if it turns out that those allegations are true. But this is, I will share in all honesty, this is really tough for me because I've gone from being a private citizen, where when I was a state senator, I made very clear comments at the time that the Eagle raid occurred about what I felt. Now I'm in a posture where I'm the primary fiduciary for a $1.5 billion government where everything I says has ramifications towards an active lawsuit. But I think we're going to make an announcement in the next 5 to 7 days that are going to be pretty significant, and we'll speak to the LGBT community about how important what is going on with the Eagle is to me personally. Because there's been no offer to settle the lawsuit, and the terms that I have heard have been that if the city of Atlanta apologized, then the lawsuit would be resolved because my administration didn't do it. So if we were to accept responsibility and apologize, then that would end the lawsuit. There's only one problem with that solution. First of all, that is something that I am willing to entertain and have a conversation about. So I've said that publicly as well. But if I just apologize, and that's why I have to speak about this so delicately, there were more people than the folks who were plaintiffs in that lawsuit who were there that evening. If I were to apologize as mayor, there is real concern that other people could then file a lawsuit based upon my apology. And this stuff really gets in the weeds, but if the mayor of Atlanta gets up and says, hey, I apologize, and other people who hadn't filed a lawsuit, who agreed to a settlement, I mean, I'm having a real conversation as opposed to skirting the issue. So say that 9 people who were victims agreed to a settlement. I stood up and apologized. The people who were in the room could then go and file a lawsuit. This is not as easy as it looks. It's not as easy as it looks because somebody that didn't file a lawsuit still has a right to a cause of action. They can file a lawsuit and say the mayor of Atlanta said that he apologized. Well, why would he apologize if things are wrong? I mean, there are real consequences. I've been going through this now for 9 months. So certainly I would want to see this brought to a close. So it's not like I haven't been processing through how this can be brought to a close. And so I think in the next 7 days, I'm going to take some action to convey what I've been saying about how I feel about what's going on. But with regard to this evidence issue, we're going to investigate the allegations that were made and we're going to take swift action. But I've been doing all of this, Matt, while we are clearly trying to change the relationship. But I'm saddled with something that I had no role in it. I don't want it, but I'm giving you a real answer, so you're not just like, well, why not just stand up and apologize? Like, we have a lot of lawyers that are looking at this, says that sounds very good, but if you signed a settlement agreement with 9 people, there were more than 100 people who were in that room. That's the deal. And that's one of the tough parts about being married. What my instincts are have different ramifications. It's just like the Park Atlanta challenge that we're having, right? The Park Atlanta has been on Channel 2 on the news. My goodness, it's like a reality show on Channel 2. So neighbors say, hey, you should cancel the Park Atlanta contract, right? You all are business people. Well, you pull the contract for the Park Atlanta contract, and if you cancel the Park Atlanta contract, it's got penalty provisions that require the city to cut a significant check that the city doesn't have, that will come out of your pockets. So, I mean, this stuff, as Reese can verify, has more layers than it looks like on television. When you look at the Katherine Johnston shooting, the other lawsuits that we brought to a close, that was after a lot had occurred. I mean, that was the Katherine Johnston case was going on 6 years, which is why I made the judgment to bring it to a close. But as I said, I think the folks in this room will see that we're going to try to do something to show good faith around what has happened at the Eagle.
What?
And the other thing that we're doing is, I mean, my police department and my chief, in terms of how we're treating the LGBT community, is just radically different. If someone behaved in a way, you know, we just have to test it. I mean, I try to stay away from talking because I believe, you know, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. But if someone tried to harm members of the LGBT community, I think that I would act swiftly and decisively on my watch for people in this department. That's why we're going to investigate these accusations that have been made about the evidentiary issues, and if we find wrongdoing, then we're going to move. I don't think anybody who knows me doubts my will as it relates to change. When people do not perform or take actions that do not satisfy me as a leader of the city, I move pretty quickly and pretty decisively. Well, at the end of the day, we will look at what we did in the Eagle raid and how we handled this. And as I said even before I got your question, we're going to take action, but I am saddled on one side with legal counsel and with the possibility of having to write a significant check. And then on the other side is where my heart is.